There's a saying, like, easier to get into retailer, it's harder to stay in.
That is key because if you mess up once you're in, there's no going back.
They're not going to curate you again.
I'm Susan Yara, and welcome to My Life Online. We're going to have a lot of fun and learn a lot together. If you watched or listened to last week's episode, it was with my guest, Charlotte Cho, who is the co-founder of Soko Glam, which is the biggest K-beauty retailer in the United States. She's also an esthetician, and she is the co-founder of the skincare line Then I Met You. And they recently launched in Sephora, which is such a huge deal for any skincare line, for any beauty brand to launch in a big box retailer like that. So that's going to be the topic for today's conversation: how you get into a big box retailer when you have a beauty brand. What are the things that you can expect? What are the things that you wish you would have known when you're going into it? Just every aspect of going into a big box retailer when you are a baby brand.
Congrats on being in Sephora.
Oh, thank you.
That's so exciting. I feel like this is a long time coming because I've been wondering when Then I Met You was going to be in a big retailer.
I know we've had a very unconventional path. We are 6 years old, but it's kind of surreal that we're at literally the best US beauty retailer. And they've been incredible. The whole experience has been kind of mind-blowing. It's the fastest skincare launch they've ever had.
As in, like, the minute they talk to you to...
It was less than 6 months.
Wow.
And then from contract signing to launch online was like less than 3 months.
Wow. Well, tell everybody if they're not familiar with you and with your line and with Soko Glam, explain a little bit more about it.
Okay, so my journey with beauty started 12 years ago. So I basically launched Soko Glam, which is a Korean beauty retailer. And we carried over 100 brands that are cutting edge Korean brands that you all know and love. And we are very meticulous about what we curate. And we want to make sure that it's something that you actually can see, benefits to your skin. As an esthetician, it was like a big goal of mine to make sure it was a very curated assortment. Mm-hmm. And then, essentially 6 years into my Soko Glam journey, I launched Then I Met You as my own skincare line. And that also was very unique because Soko Glam is a huge platform where a lot of people are coming to discover Korean beauty, but we actually kept Then I Met You separately on its own D2C site for a whole year.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because we didn't want Then I Met You.
Wait, you didn't have it on Soko Glam for a whole year?
Which is like, everyone was like, what are you doing? That's kind of stupid of you.
No, not stupid, but just interesting. An interesting approach.
I think because Then I Met You has a very unique story, a very unique background, and just to be shuffled under Soko Glam as like a private label brand or something, that it didn't do it justice. We have other Soko Glam private label brands that are actually our best sellers, like the Clog, but Then I Met You is something that's very personal, has its own unique vision and distinct story, and keeping it separated for a whole year was hard because we were starting kind of like from scratch. Yes, there were Soko Glam fans that kind of followed us to that platform, but D2C is hard. And so that was so great. I think it was able to stand on its own 2 feet.
Well, then tell us the uniqueness of Then I Met You.
Yeah, so Then I Met You is a Korean sensorial skincare line, and we focus on uniting gentle, innovative Korean ingredients, but merging it with potent actives. So I believe that balance is what's needed. That's kind of my background, being Korean American, loving the textures of Korean beauty, and then fusing it with my esthetician background in the States. Like, just that combination is producing these like beautiful products that have great results. And I think that's why we've been able to grow so intentionally. A lot of retailers are noticing our formulations, and we have grown a really loyal community too.
This is actually the question I get a lot. And this is even just from people who have different kinds of brands that they've started, even like baby clothing brands and all that stuff, because we went into Target first. They always want to know, how did you start that conversation?
Right. Yeah.
And I think Target is very unique in how you start a conversation with them. But let's hear your experience in trying to get into Sephora, because you had your own experience with Sephora before too, right?
Yeah. So thankfully with my Soko Glam journey, I have been connected to many people in the beauty industry. And when Korean beauty really started to pick up in around 2015, Soko Glam had been around for 4 years. Luckily, I had my Soko Glam journey, and in 2015, when Korean beauty really started to pick up and Sephora really wanted to double down on telling their community about Korean beauty, they asked me to help curate their next big theme wall, and it really transformed into Korean beauty wall. And it was so much fun. I got to pick and choose my favorite Korean beauty products, and we helped bring that into Sephora. And then they were really supportive, even like putting Soko Glam and my name all over those walls to explain the authenticity behind this wall. So it was really cool. And then like experiencing that caused us to have this like amazing relationship. And then shortly after I launched Then I Met You, and immediately they were interested in Then I Met You coming to Sephora, but I was not ready and prepared because Soko Glam, there's so much to do at Soko Glam. We were growing so fast and quickly, and we just launched 2 products, and it was just, I didn't have any knowledge on how it is to succeed at a Sephora retailer. I was still just 4 years into my beauty and entrepreneurial experience. We had just launched. I had no idea what the reaction would be to our products. And it was just like so many unknowns, and we were just not ready. But then at the time, other retailers too in the international markets also reached out, and we honestly had to respectfully decline because it just was too much. And I think that like in retrospect, that was very risky.
Yeah. Oh, declining because you don't know if they're going to come back to you then.
Yeah. And then like, honestly, this is like 6 years later. Then I Met You is entering Sephora. And this is a whole nother group of people that had to believe in me, because the people that believed in me for the Korean beauty wall, they're not really part of that team anymore. And so Then I Met You had to kind of go against the odds of like all of these other amazing brands that came out. There's so much more competition, I feel. And it's just, I felt like there were some people who would have jumped at that chance. Yeah. For me, I was a little hesitant, but I just wanted to do it right. And I know that it's easier to actually get in, although it's very, very hard to get in. There's a saying like easier to get into retailer, it's harder to stay in.
That is key because if you mess up once you're in, there's no going back.
They're not going to curate you again. Yeah. So I just want to do it right. And I think that it was the right decision now because I truly believe we're set up for success. We have this loyal community. People love our products. We really be able to hone in to our sensorial textures, but I think it was a really risky move as well.
Yes and no. I think that retailers understand that if you're not ready, I think they respect it. Mm-hmm. As long as you're explaining that's what it is. It's not that you said to them, we don't want to be. Yeah. It's that you want to be, you're not ready.
Right. Yeah. But still.
Well, what does it take to get ready? I think that's what people want to know, because I think the minute people start a brand, they're like, I need to go be in a retailer. And this is true. You have to eventually be in a retailer, in my opinion, to be successful as far as like scaling, because just a few years ago when we were in like the lockdown of the pandemic and everything, it was easier to have a D2C site and be successful. Right. But this has changed now. Mm-hmm. We're back to normal days. Mm-hmm. You have to have a successful retail partnership as well, if not several. But that main one, I think, is a make or break it moment for you as a brand, right?
Yes, absolutely. And luckily, my experience with Sephora has been amazing. They are exactly what everyone told me. They'd be like, they're beasts. They're just so good at what they do. And I'm along for the ride, and they're making Then I Met You so much better. They're really, truly involved. And I couldn't ask for anything better. I think that's why I'm really glad I went with Sephora.
Yeah. Well, explain what you mean by that, because I think consumers don't realize this, how much your retailer, your big box retailers are involved in your brand. Right. Once you actually sign that dotted line and you're going.
Yeah. Well, it really depends on the retailer. It's not like every merchant or every retailer team is going to support you in the same way. And I truly believe that Sephora is giving us extra attention because they really believe in us. Just even as simply as like talking about what's coming out next from your line. And does that match with your ethos? Does that, and even when it comes to a kit that you're going to create, like what product should really excite your community and the Sephora community, right? So they're really hands-on and involved and giving us advice, and we could take it or leave it. They're not pressuring us in any way to like force our hand in anything, but it's great to hear their opinions and thoughts because they're very knowledgeable. They have data. They have so many decades and decades of experience, obviously, to seeing brands, a small brand like Then I Met You, expand in their community. So we obviously take their words to heart, and with a little bit of grain of salt, because like sometimes it might not work for every single brand. But I think that as a founder and as a team that works with the retailer, you have to make that decision. But it's been so great because having that feedback is like, they care, you know? Yeah. And a lot of retailers, they don't have the time to care about every single brand.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of people worry. I see this conversation happen a lot on social media. I don't know why, but I do see this conversation a lot, even amongst just like content creators and consumers who are just like, it almost feels like they're just like kind of gossiping, and they've heard these things about brands that go into retailers like Sephora, like a Target, like an Ulta. They hear that it can like really wreck your brand because of the margin, the margin they take, all of that kind of stuff. Explain why all of this is worth it, I guess. Like, because and without getting into details, because every brand has their own agreement with their big box retailer. But why would this be worth it? And I'll give my own input too.
Yeah. I absolutely think you cannot scale without a partner like a Sephora or an Ulta or Target. It just, you can reach a certain level, but it will just never be enough. And then the exposure to the community that truly loves beauty, I think that's so valuable, because being in a smaller retailer that's more about like fashion and other categories, I don't know, the dedication that the community that you're placed in front of, like there's a stamp of approval that Sephora or Ulta has given, and the community trusts that stamp of approval so much, and they're willing to give your brand a shot. And in this crowded space, it is just helping your brand be recognized and spotlighted in this, again, very, very crowded space. When Then I Met You started, I felt like it was not as crowded. I don't know.
No.
You, even like in the past year.
In
right?
the past year, even I have been like, wow, more brands. You know?
Yeah. And I recognize that like through the explosion of celebrity brands and all of these things, it definitely is not always a sure number one hit seller or anything like that, just because there's a big celebrity backing behind it. There's just so many factors that go into the success of a brand. And Then I Met You just started our Sephora journey. No idea where we're headed, but we can always just try our best.
Yeah.
And try to make the best decisions you can. And I think it all comes down to product too. It has to be a good product.
It has to. I think people really underestimate that. Like when I see like, you know, there are some skincare brands, for instance, that have just been started by some guys in finance who have no idea what's going on in skincare. And I think they really underestimate that, especially for skincare. I think that you really have to have these products that people are going to want to come back and love and use all the time, and really make this a part of their lives. Yeah. And that's going to be the big kicker at the end of the day, because again, like with the celebrity brands that aren't making it any of that, I think that's where things fall off, is that they forget that marketing, plays a big part in getting people to purchase it, but then getting them to come back is a whole other game.
Right. And with Then I Met You, because we are also not funded in that way, we only launched 1 or 2 products a year, which helped me to focus. But I know that now that we're a retailer, are probably going to be more expectations to probably develop
launch
faster,
more products.
Which honestly, luckily, because I knew that I wanted to get into retailer, at a certain point, I started to be like, okay, I think we're ready. Yeah. Especially as we've been exploring and distributing we launched in Space NK. We also launched in Sephora Asia in 5 different markets there. And so we started to kind of envision our world at a Sephora US. And then we started our innovation pipeline like a couple years ago so that we could be prepared. And I don't want to rush anything still. So prepare an innovation pipeline so that we have a lot more ready to go once we have that relationship, because I knew that was what was going to be expected. Yeah. And then meanwhile, Susan, you're with all your amazing products in the Naturium. I'm like, how are you doing it? Because like, they're actually quality. You know what I mean? You have speed and quality.
I have
and
1,000 products in my mind. I never thought, like at some point I was like, this is going to end where I don't have any more ideas. Yeah. And I'm like, wait.
No, I'm just like so impressed. And then you do so much content. I'm like, holy.
You know what? I think this is just like this, the way you like are inherently is just how you're going to be. And that comes out in your brand. Like, well, it's not even a skill. It's just like, I wish I slept more, you know, like that kind of, I really wish I would take a break. Like chill out. Like some of the people that work with me are probably like, chill out, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, they're like, again, it's who you are. And I think sometimes you see that like the brand is like a representation of the founder in a lot of ways, you know, and I think that people love that. And that's what they, you know, like I feel the calm that I met you. And that's what I think when I think you. I feel calm. I feel calm when I think of you. Maybe there's like more going on in here, but like you're not sharing that like whatever it is, like anything that you're going through.
I'm an extrovert and then I'm an introvert at times. Like I need my own time to recharge, but I think I think you're right. Kind of like how when you have a dog, it kind of looks like the owner.
Yes. That's what a brand is. The founder's brand is their dog. It's like they look alike.
Yeah. Honestly, Then I Met You, I feel like I'm a little sappy. I'm a little emo. I really reflect on things about like my deep connection with Korea, which is why the ethos of Then I Met You is about Chong and those deep connections. I wrote a whole book about Chong, and I really feel like this is my way of kind of sharing my love letter kind of to Korea through these, because all of these products are made in Korea. They are very inspired by Korean practices, innovations, ingredients. And so that's my love letter to Korea.
Explain Chong to everybody.
Chong is a Korean term that is a big part of Korean culture. It describes a deep and emotional connection you could have with someone or something. And my Chong is really with Korea. So I lived in Korea for 5 years in my early 20s, and I fell in love with it. And before then, I didn't know what I was doing. And I felt so lost. I felt so not really fully American, not really knowing my roots. And so when I moved to Korea, it all clicked for me, and I just fell in love. And I just wanted to do something to contribute to my roots, like something about my Korean background. And so finding kind of a love for Korean skincare helped me to develop Soko Glam. And I truly believe that Soko Glam journey, there were some hard challenges at that. If I didn't have that North Star of like, I'm doing this for Korea.
Yeah.
Like, I think I wouldn't have been doing it to today, you know? And I think that even with curation, I'm like, I'm not going to curate those gimmicky products that suck, because then they're going to have if a customer buys that and then they see like it's do nothing or like horrible, then even though it's
or they
viral,
can get a cheap K-beauty version of it on like Amazon or something like that. Like, you don't want that. You want it to be unique.
Yeah, I want it to be unique. I want it to be special. And I feel like this, like, I'm kind of the gateholder of Korean products that need to do something good. And as an esthetician too, I also like worry. I don't want to just sell something because it's viral, right? There's a lot of things that people buy because they're simply viral and not good for your skin. So, you know, I feel like I owe it to Korea. I want to like represent Korea in the best way possible. And then same thing with that. I feel like, okay, this is my love letter to Korea. I want to explore and talk about Chong because it's such a big part of Korean culture, but I think that it's universal. You know, having that deep, I mean, you have Chong with people and you have Chong with things, and I'm sure your family members and all that. But yeah, I just feel like it's cool that I get to fuse both those like loves and passions, skincare and Korea.
Yeah,
it's so much more meaningful, like when you have something else other than like the business or like the brand, like there's something underlying that really fuels you. You need that.
And I think nowadays the consumer, a true like skincare fanatic, for instance, I think they feel that, right? Like I'm a big fan of indie brands because I can feel, and maybe it's because I just like empathize or something, but I can feel the founder's love and passion in that brand. I can see it. And I actually feel like a lot of the innovation and the cool textures and everything, the cool ingredients, these are all coming from the indie brands, and they're inspiring now the big brands, which is a shift in this industry. So, but you know, you brought up an interesting point, the noise out there, because there are so many other brands and seeing the path that they take and that journey. So like saying, you know, with Naturium, you're watching how we launch a lot of products and everything, and you're not, and it almost makes you feel like maybe you're not doing it the right way, but that is the wrong way to look at it. Okay. I think when I put myself in the shoes of a beauty brand founder who's just kind of getting started, a lot of the time they ask me, well, how did you choose the retailer? And they also ask, what are the things you wish I would have known? How did you choose Sephora? Is it because you had that prior relationship?
And I don't know. There's just this vibe about Sephora where like, then I met you belongs in Sephora, and just I could just imagine it visually being on the shelves, like being in that environment. And I also like the stories that I've heard from brands where they're like, oh, they're really involved in there. If they believe in your brand, they're very engaged and they support you with advice. And I feel like we need that. I'd rather them be more hands-on than hands-off.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I'll throw out there too. I think people don't consider this, but these big box retailers are also their own brand. They've like really solidified who they are. And so when you're building your brand, you're almost thinking about, I actually, like when Naturium really got started and we were going forward, all I thought was Target. Target was going to be our first retailer, and that was it.
Yes.
You know, it was like, that was the perfect home for Naturium. We didn't want it to just be our first retail partner. We wanted this to be the place where we branded ourselves, like aligned with the Target brand, and stayed with Target for a while. Like I had no intention of going into Target and then like hopping into other retailers right away. I really wanted this to be our home.
Yes.
And we had that in mind from the start. So I feel like you said, then I met you, just feels right.
It just feels
Sephora.
Right. Yeah,
it's the home. Right. The branding of Sephora feels like it fits the branding of...
And their community too. And then also, I think what was really important for us to answer your question about like, how are we getting ready for the retailer? Our Living Cleansing Balm is by far the hero SKU, right? Everyone loves it. It's been the most viral on social. And we have just super fans and loyal fans for the Living Cleansing Balm. Has won so many awards. But I think that, and also to be successful in retailer, you can't have just one hero.
Yeah.
And it will surprise you too.
This is, because that's very old school to have one hero.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you have to have multiple heroes. So you said something earlier that I thought was really interesting. And that's that you said we're not really trying to create products that are viral or like follow the viral trends. And that's the same way that we think about Naturium. Even though we have a decent sized assortment, we never are trying to create something that's just viral. You know, because if it's just viral, then that means that it's not going to become a mainstay.
It's fleeting.
Exactly. Like we want people to feel like they've picked up this product and they can't imagine not using it for the rest of their lives. Even if maybe someday they change, we want this to become one of their staple products in their routines. And that's partially also then leading to hero products, not just a hero product, but hero products. So we have several hero products in our skincare line and then several hero body products.
Yeah, that's amazing. You have to diversify. And what's great about that is because we're so thoughtful about each product, like there's actually, now that we're in Sephora, we have several heroes. The Bong Bong is actually newly launched and it's risen to the top.
I love it. I love every product that you have created. I think once you expand into several products, you then know not everybody is going to like every product, and that's fine because it's supposed to be, you're adding all these different products to meet certain personal needs, right? And so it shouldn't be for everybody.
Right.
But when you have this nicely curated line, it's almost like, I miss hearing people say this all the time, like, there isn't a product I don't like. I love every single product.
Yeah. Literally, if you ask the Denim at UT team, we all like talk about like, what's your favorite? And everyone's like, well, it's this one, but I can't just choose one. And we had this TikTok live recently talking about that. And it's genuine. Like, even without camera, they're always talking about like, it's so hard to choose one. And I think that's definitely something you have to shoot for. And it was so wild though, when Sephora merchants were like testing all the products, and this is how good they are. They were just like, of course they know the Living Cleanly Mom's popular, but they literally picked like the 3 that they really want to focus on. And I was like, how did you know that those are the ones that are rising right now? Like, I don't know. They just know. Yeah. They're wizards.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're very experienced. And so that's why we were very aligned from the start, and just working with them. They're just, we have weekly meetings with them on all different types of, meeting with their logistics team, meeting with their merchant team, meeting with their marketing team. It's been such a big effort. And I also feel now there's a lot of weight on my shoulders where I'm like, I really want this to succeed. I really want, because everyone's working so hard on it.
It's going to. It will.
I'm not presenting doubt. That's the kind of person I am. Like, that is a reflection of me. Like, I really work hard, I think, to make sure everyone involved in the process has a good experience. I just care so much.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that like invites people to like my wedding or something, and I'm like, you don't have to go. I know it's super inconvenient. I don't want
She is really like this. Yeah.
They're like, are you inviting me to your wedding or not? Like, you're like disinviting me. You're telling me not to come because it's inconvenient. For people who are interested in starting a line, because I get that question all the time. And it's just so hard, I think, in 2024 to succeed, because I feel like you have to be everywhere all at once. You know that movie? What is it? Everywhere, Everything, All at Once?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like before 12, 13 years ago when Sophia Glam first started, it was like there was barely a skincare influencer. There was like, it didn't really exist. Instagram just got started. People were more using it for personal like photos of their brunch.
Yeah.
And then now I feel like you have to do 5 different things on Instagram a day.
I mean, they have so many different tools.
Yeah.
You've got TikTok.
You got the reels. You got this, like lives. And then TikTok, you got a whole slew of things. And you also have to be good at traditional PR, but you also got to be good at like podcasts and everything. Like, you just got to be everywhere. And I think that's the most challenging part, is that like, if you are bootstrapping business, how do you replicate
as the person behind it, especially when you're getting started, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd say that the advice I would give is to focus, right?
Yeah.
Pick the things that you're probably the best at.
Yeah.
We had this conversation years ago when I was just getting started in my Naturium journey. Remember that? I remember we're sitting there at breakfast. We were at like San Vicente Bungalows or something. And I was telling you, I was like, I have no desire to be the CEO.
Yeah.
Right. And we were talking about this, how this is, maybe when you're younger, especially as a female, you feel like that should be the goal, that you want to be the CEO of a company, especially your own company. Yeah. But as I become more mature and I understand myself and what my strengths are, I knew that that's not what I want to do, because to me, CEO is like, you're managing people, you're looking at budgets all the time. And not that I don't have to know that. Exactly. You're pleasing your investors, right? To me, it's not that I can't do that. It's that I don't want to do that. Yeah. Because I'm going to be more beneficial to the brand by innovating, looking at the marketing, looking at the, the way we talk about the brand. Yeah. That is where my strength is, and the people, right? The community. Yeah. And so I would rather be focused on that. And so I think that's actually a strength, is knowing your strengths and leaning into that instead of what you think you should be doing.
Yeah, I totally, fully agree. I'm not the CEO. I don't want to be the CEO. I have other things to do.
Exactly.
Uniquely that I can only do, and no one else can do. Exactly. Even if they got hired into the position.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's not that I think this is also what scares people, is they've heard stories about like when you hire on these executives to help run your business, that maybe like the business gets kind of taken away from you. But No, just be smart in how you set it up. Be smart in the people that you're bringing onto your brand and make sure that they share that same passion as you do. So.
Yeah. And it's been so helpful, honestly, to find kind of your tribe and to find people that are going through the same experiences as you. And like, that's why it's been so helpful talking to you and just like the advice you get. And you'd be surprised. Like, I've been in the industry for so long and then I learned something new every day.
Same.
And like from you, like you tell me, you drop some wisdom bombs. I'm like, oh my God, why was I thinking about it that way? And just like having that tribe where you kind of get to talk and openly and frankly about the challenges you face and the things that are going great, but the things that are not going so great. Yeah. It is so important for your like mental health.
Yeah. And then when it comes to all the noise, right? Like, again, don't focus on what other brands are doing. Do what's going to end up being the best path for you.
Oh, absolutely.
That even on social media, if you can't do a live and a reel and a TikTok post and a blog post and like just pick the things that you are going to do a good job at first and really nail it before you start to expand into other stuff.
Right. And oh, by the way, another big part about being in a retailer is that you need to be different. They do not want you if you are anything remotely close to the other brand that they have on their shelves that's doing well. Like you might think that that's like a good like North Star to be like, oh, I want to just be like X brand. Yeah. Let me copy their thing, or not copy, but like emulate their style or their type of marketing. They actually actively avoid getting anything else on their shelves that looks or smells or feels like a brand. And that's why you should, whatever idea or vision you have, you should stick with it, make sure it's uniquely you. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's something that I'm even reminded of, like some retailers may not want that of me because they have something that's kind of similar or has a similar background story. So I think that is something to consider when you're like thinking about building a brand. And whenever you have that doubt, like, oh, but is this too weird of an idea or unique? I'm like, maybe weird is going to work.
Yeah. You know what?
White space.
I love that. So, there's a brand that I see, they're growing more and more. And I love their style, like their marketing, and it's Experiment World.
Oh, yeah.
I really love
Yeah.
With
the founder.
Yeah. I love seeing what they do because I do feel like it has a uniqueness to it. The voice is unique.
Very unique. Yeah. I just think that we definitely need to go because we've charted this out. We've seen each other in New York City. We have now Miami. Yeah. LA. And Paris. We ran into each other in Paris.
That was actually random. Yeah, that was random. And that's like when things are meant to be. The stars align when you're randomly in Paris together.
And I was pregnant, so I couldn't drink with you.
And we got to take a picture by the Eiffel Tower.
I know, so cute. Okay, so we've done those 4 cities. I feel like Korea. We need to manifest Korea.
We have to. You know why? Because I've said this too. I've never really been in touch with my Korean side as much. And so I feel like I would love to be in Seoul with you.
I know. We have to make it happen.
We'll do it. You guys manifest this for us. We're going to Seoul.
City. Seoul.
I love it. Well, Charlotte, thank you so much for this conversation. And congratulations. This is so huge. I cannot wait to continue watching the journey of Then I Met You.
I hope so. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of My Life Online. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow, rate, and review, and also share it with a friend so we can continue making great episodes for you. You can also find me on social media. I'm at Susan Yara, and if you enjoy beauty, especially skincare, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Mixed Makeup. I'll talk to you soon.